The player awoke inside a wooden hut, sunlight filtering through cracks in the planks. A chest stood in the corner. Inside, a torn map, 3 apples, 6 torches, a worn pickaxe, and a feather marked with strange words like the deep and the deep will answer. On the map, a red X was drawn with the word home. Curious, the player gathered supplies and followed the map. They crossed rivers, climbed hills, and walked through meadows. At last, in the hollow of a valley, they found a village, but it was abandoned. Roofs had caved, doors broken, fields drowned in weeds. A cracked bell hung silent in the square. In the center stood a well, sealed with dark wood. Round it, deep grooves in the dirt hinted at something unnatural dragging itself upward. Then came a sound, knock, knock from beneath. The player lifted the trap door and descended into a damp tunnel. Moss clung to stone, torches dimmed as though swallowed by shadow. At the end, a chamber opened. In its center rose a black pillar, glossy and cold, drinking all light, for handprints marked its sides. The player pressed their palm, then the feather, a soft chime rang. A hidden drawer slid open, revealing an octagonal black key engraved with 12 dots around a single eye. Suddenly, skeletons approached through the tunnel. With shield and sword, the player fought until silence returned. Climbing back to the square, they placed the key on the well. On the map, the red X stretched into a thin thread leading into the desert. Days later, under shifting dunes, the player discovered a spiral stone door. The key fit a hidden hall open, filled with statues and carvings. They told of a spring that once sang to villagers, warning of storms and guiding travelers. But one night the stars vanished, the spring fell silent, and shadows grew strange. To contain the threat, the villagers built stone circles, scattered seals, and crafted keys. The story ended with a plea, like the deep. Close the door when you leave. Guided by the map, the player crossed jungle vines and found another shrine. Inside lay a journal written by a villager named Leora. She described the night of no stars, the knocking shapes, and her hope that future travelers would bring patience and warmth. Her last words urged, go to the mountains. The third door is there. Snow fell as the player climbed high peaks. Twin slabs of stone opened with a key, revealing a sky blue hall and a pool still as glass. From its surface rose a figure made of light and reflection. It traced ripples across the water, telling a story without words. The spring had tried to hold shut a wound in the sky. In swallowing light, it birthed shadows. The villagers taught it manners again, and people became hinges between worlds. From the pool rose a lantern of dark glass, carrying a flame that never burned out. The player returned to the village and lowered the lantern into the well. The pillar below drank its light and glowed brighter, cracks filling with silver. In the square, lanterns lit on their own, fields straightened, cats stretched awake. The bell rang, not in alarm but in welcome. Villagers returned as if stepping back from a long dream. One woman smiled at the player. You brought back the ring. The player answered, I brought back a door. There is still, she said, and bells to tune. For 3 days, the village lived again with laughter and light. On the map, new markings appeared far away, labeled only later. When the player finally left, villagers waved without fear. A child followed to the meadow's edge, pretending to fight invisible monsters. The player turned once, the bell glowed in sunset, steady as a heartbeat. In their pocket, the feather lay warm, whispering its promise like the deep. And the deep will answer. Close the door when you leave it unlocked.